And we are live. It is the Shark Week podcast. I'm Skyler Thomas, and this is Walter Bernardis joining me from South Africa. And Walter has some positive news to share with us to get things started. It's always good to share some good news, be a little bit more on the positive side, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. Hello, everybody. And yeah, Smiley is back. She's run the gauntlet of all the Natal Sharks Board nets, drum lines, long lines, you name it. She's gone to wherever she goes to. We don't quite know where she goes to, but she disappeared early last year. That was really worrying. And I thought, bad sign. But she's back early this year. It's the end of September, and she's back. Normally, she only arrives in November, end of sort of mid-November, and fantastic to see her back in good shape and in fine form, I must tell you.
Oh, I'm watching your video. So is this a later reply? I mean, is this later than Smiley usually
Earlier,
arrives? Oh, it's earlier.
yeah, much earlier, like a month at least.
And if you had to guess, I know it's just speculation, but are there any condition changes that might help explain the change in behavior?
Yeah, not that I've seen. It must be the food is in the area, and that's what's brought it back. We just don't know enough about them.
I mean, that's a pretty good guess.
We aren't sure about everything, even if it's bullshit.
what kind of a what kind of a shark expert have I got here? Just lie with confidence. Be arrogant. Don't be humble.
Yeah,
Hey, let's throw it. Let me throw your smiley. Is this the footage you sent me? Is this new? Is this from your?
yeah. That
Okay,
was shot on Tuesday.
I'm just gonna.
Not the best water, but
Yeah, that looks like South African water. That looks like what I had the whole time I was there trying to make my film.
yeah,
Let's look at it.
nutrient green.
Let's take a look at Smiley in the green South African waters. I turned the music off so you could speak over it. If you
Yeah.
want to pretend
So
to be a shark expert or something.
we had 6 bulls there, and there's Smiley in all her glory. You can see it's called Smiley because it's got a broken jaw, obviously,
Jeez.
um, from fishermen or long line or somewhere. It got that jaw damaged, but it's managed to overcome that impediment and doing very well. You can see she's nice and fat and fit, lovely shark.
Now, is that other bull shark interested in Smiley? Or am I just reading
No,
too much into it? It sure
no,
looks like it's okay.
they're just after the same little bit of sardine.
I gotta slow down and look at that broken jaw again. It breaks my heart.
Yeah. When I first saw it 8 years ago, I thought there's no way this shark's going to survive. It's just too deformed. But obviously, it's managed to overcome that disability or whatever you like to call it or injury. And yeah, it's really doing well, above all odds.
Oh wow! So we have 11 comments. Let me go check this. Sharks 365 and Shark Taz are here. Our usuals and Wild World is here. Hello, Wild World, a new viewer. Um, Indeed, guys, please provide your comments and interact your questions. That's the whole point of having a shark expert here, like Walter. And Walter, when you said a long line could have possibly been to blame, now that's like a passive. That's a hook that's just sitting out there. So Would that be like a coyote chewing its leg off? Like, would Smiley have had to break Smiley's own jaw to get off of that hook rather than, like a fisherman actually fighting against the shark? Or how would that work?
No, no, I don't think so. Look, the long lines are baited hooks. They're
Hmm.
kilometers and kilometers of baited hooks. And once gets hooked onto a long line, it's very seldom that they escape. Just because of the rigging is so durable, it's really made to catch sharks. So um, they can't afford to lose their rigs every time they put them in the water. Um, difficult to assess what caused that injury. It's obviously obvious that the shark was going in one direction, maybe the hook in the other direction, and that sudden stop broke its jaw as a juvenile, and has lived with that disability all its life and learned to overcome it and survive. Um, yeah, it could have been going after some prey on a rocky bottom and accidentally hit the rock and broke its jaw. Who knows? We would. It's very difficult to say how it got the injury.
Yeah. Boy, but you nailed it when you said surviving the gauntlet. I think we as humans, our lives are so easy. We forget how many obstacles are in the way of each of these animals making it to another year.
Yeah. What are the chances? It is really a gauntlet. When you think about it, they migrate, as far as I know, into the warmer waters during our winter, and that's going up into Mozambique. Um, on the way there, they've got to pass uh, Durban's gill nets and drum lines, Umhlanga Rocks gill nets and drum lines,
Hmm.
all the way up to Richards Bay, their drum lines and gill nets. And then once they passed into Mozambique, well, then the Chinese have got full reign there. The Mozambicans have sold their fishing rights to the Chinese. So you
And
can
but
imagine.
just I'm going to
Well,
slow you down just so that people don't think you're just talking shit. Like that's real,
no, hundred
right?
percent. That's hundred
It's
percent. Yeah. At any one time, there are something like 200 fishing boats off our coastline. In our area here, which is the KwaZulu Natal uh, coastline, there's 200 fishing vessels of different descriptions. And yeah, they're not fishing; they're mining the ocean, and
yeah.
that's the difference. We're turning our oceans into deserts, and the only way we can stop it is by stop buying fish, stop eating fish. There's no other way. We can sit here and say whatever you want while you're eating your tuna steak, and somebody's going to go and catch that tuna to put it on your plate.
Well, I don't want to. This always depresses people when you introduce the idea that you need to make sacrifices in your own life. But would you actually remove uh, animals from your diet in order to not potentially be part of it? Oh, and the internet cut out just in time for him not to have to.
I can't think of any other method of doing it. Whose internet? My internet.
I don't know. I couldn't. I
My
couldn't hear
internet.
you for a second. Go ahead.
Okay.
Now I hear
You
you
know,
again.
I've thought about it and thought about it, and how do we save our ocean? And there isn't any other way. There's, there's, if we buy fish, if we go to a restaurant, and we buy that plate of prawns. That plate of the amount of bycatch that they just throwing away. They're just killing just to get that plate of prawns on your plate. It's easy to say, but not so easy to achieve. We are really destroying our ocean.
I won't stay on the topic very long, but I did it because I just was tired of the mental gymnastics. I didn't want to keep like pretending to be a conservationist while participating, even if even if it's just potentially or clearly participating, because none of us actually know. You can put all the marketing bullshit on the package that you want to, but the bottom line is, as you said, it's more likely than not that whatever got on your plate came at an extreme cost to other creatures, not just the one in front of you.
100%. Just to take it a little bit further, you've got sustained salmon, you eat the rest of it, and it's all healthy, blah blah. But they're catching our sardines here. They turning them into fish food, fish pellets, and then exporting them to feed the salmon and the rest of the fish farms that they've got. So they're depleting one source to feed another, and then you think, well, this was farmed. It's not been taken out the ocean. All good. No, it's
It, it's ecology. Anytime that humans look at something as, oh, that's ours, let's harvest it for our means, you're completely eliminating from your mindset the creatures that already depended on that food source. And you come in and you just rape the ocean, and like, how many different species did that affect? Look, I'm sure they don't get all the sardines, but it's a shitload of sardines. And you want to talk about large numbers, there's a shitload of species that come from everywhere, everywhere, in order to feed on those sardines in this
yeah.
incredible annual event. I mean, what is it, the Cape Goal, that travels from Cape Town just for the hope of getting to feed on sardines? And if it's a bad sardine run, they're fucked.
Yeah, the Cape Gannet, yeah,
Again, it.
the Cape Gannet.
I'm going to acknowledge our viewers again for a little.
No, it's,
Sorry, what was that?
it's absolutely at the end. It's the end of our ocean. The way like I said, they're not fishing, they're farming, they're mining. Sorry, they're mining the ocean. Have you
Yeah,
seen those drag nets that they catch the prawns in? So
yeah.
every ton of prawns, there's 3 tons of bycatch that they're just wiping out and killing.
Folks,
So
this is not what we're
it's
going to
it's
talk.
a
This is not what we're going to talk about today. I promise you, but it
yeah.
is important. But it is important. And I tell you what, I got my eyes open in 2006. I was helping with a documentary um, in the dry tortugas. It's kind of like, it's in the Bahamas area. And in order to get the shot that the camera crew wanted, they pulled up to a fishing boat and asked them to dump their bycatch. And they just dumped all this death into the ocean, and of course it attracted sharks. I was like, Jesus Christ, this is morbid.
It happens off Durban on a regular basis. I mean, those prawns are netted somewhere off Durban, quite deep, about 20 kilometers out, and their bycatch is just dumped. I've been wanting to go and film that at some stage. And like you say, when they dump the bycatch, all the predators there.
So now your internet connection on this one is down to nothing. I don't,
Oh my
I don't know if
goodness.
you need to hop over again. Um, Gaz Shaw. I didn't shout out Gaz Shaw yet. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. As a Brit, I always like to hear from shark experts about the likelihood that great whites are in the UK. What do you guys think? Would love to hear some opinions. Um, Walter, Are you with us?
Look, the biggest great whites were caught, you know where? In the
Mediterranean?
Mediterranean.
Yeah.
In the Mediterranean. The biggest great white ever caught was caught in the Mediterranean. They had a prolific amount of great whites, and every year they have a thing called the tonera, where they herded these tunny into a bay and netted them. And the great whites would also be there for the feast, and of course get killed. To the point where today, I mean, if you there's one great white in the Mediterranean, uh, you know, I'd be surprised. But
I know.
obviously, if they're in the waters, there's no reason why they shouldn't be circulating, England. They've got the port beagles there that look like
I mean,
baby
they're transoceanic
baby great
migratory.
whites. They're beautiful.
I don't know if we have to send you donations, but we've got to fix your internet.
Jason, my internet's down again.
um, White sharks are transoceanic migratory species. It's it
Apparently, I'm
the
down to one. Sorry.
and now you're back up to three. I don't know if we're going to solve this. We're just going to have to bear with it. Anyway, the likelihood of a migratory species that can tolerate multiple temperatures of water, um, yeah, I'm sure they go by there. Um,
Do they have
I,
seal colonies of England? I'm sure
you know,
they.
of
I
course,
think they do. So if they got
but
seal colonies and they got their food source. They were widespread throughout our oceans.
now that you mention that, I think I noted many years ago that that was an interesting difference about the Mediterranean not having pinniped populations, and wondering what the white sharks there were the most focused on. And some people were saying, as far as marine mammals go, that it would be dolphins or porpoises. But like you said, I mean, what are we talking about? Five white sharks that haven't been fished out of there.
Yeah. Look, yeah, they were there. I think they like tunny as well, and tuna obviously formed a part of their diet as well. Yeah.
Shark
So
Taz. Shark Taz. When um, can we expect to see this project you're working on? Sharks 365 says he wants to share something with us. Go ahead and tell us. Glad to see you here, Sharks 365. I know you're a big fan of Schiffman and Shark Bites, and I took a little shot at them. But I'd actually like to ask you some questions about that if you're interested. And who was the other newcomer today? Wild World was watching the video that I put out today, and I'm glad you appreciated it. It's only the beginning. Boy, Shark Week kind of makes it easy. And that's frustrating to people like you and I, Walter. That we know that while we're watching it, kind of laughing and crying, that there's a massive population of people that are going, "Oh wow, this is really great."
no, it's I just can't understand it really. Yeah. Uh,
um, Look, there's a couple of clips in the new video that I put out. Um, uh, oh, geez, Saticus. Oh, Saticus took us there. All right, I'll do it. Saticus, I bit my tongue because I was about to talk trash about OSearch, spending millions of dollars of donations to go to the Mediterranean to discover mysteries about the white shark. I think any shark expert could have told them that they were going to fail. But hey, and same thing with the UK. Walter, I can't. I'm okay. I'm going to jump to it. This acceptance of certain people as shark experts and the dismissal of other people as shark experts. I don't want to call myself a shark expert, but I see other people self-declaring themselves as experts while they have no scientific credentials. And some scientists that I know have admitted that scientific credentials by themselves do not make you an expert. Some have even said that spending time in the water with the animals is the most important thing. I would agree with that. But I'm
Yeah,
curious. I'm curious where our viewers stand on this because something that I always notice on Shark Week is that if the person doesn't have any scientific credential, they label them as a shark researcher. Well, I mean, because technically that's correct. I mean, if you are learning about sharks, reading about sharks, observing sharks, I guess you're researching them. So like, you can't technically argue against it. So it's kind of a, it sounds good, but what does it actually mean?
yeah. It means absolutely zero. You know, we are we are in the water with those animals every day. We're learning behavior. We we you know yeah, it's like you
Saticus,
say.
on a really basic level, I think this is your first time watching footage of sharks that didn't have the drilled in spot tags uh, because they last so long, whether or not they work, for a day or a couple of months. The whole justification for those things said it was going to be unprecedented data because they were going to last so long, and then of course they didn't last that long, and it wouldn't matter if those fucking tags lasted 20 years because humans aren't doing anything intelligent with the data. But there are other things that we talked about last week that are problems, such as if you go beyond the deformity of the fin, the likelihood of the fin picking up debris, snagging on things. Um, people, you can't, like some people clean the debris growing on these. As Walter has pointed out, it doesn't even have to be bolted in. Some of these external acoustic tags that are basically harpooned into the shark start to develop diseases of the skin internally. So, I mean, if you want to objectify the animal, and say that you as a human being are allowed to do whatever you want in the name of science, then there's really no limit to what you can do to these creatures. I get really pissed off because
Was
people want to talk about respecting them. And I
yeah.
mean, this tagging process is extremely disrespectful, in my opinion.
Look, a certain an amount of tagging is going to get you a lot of very interesting information. And getting a few of these animals tagged and plotting their positions and finding out where they go, where they meet up with other sharks, uh, definitely is going to help the cause. But uh, I wonder if the fishermen look at the same info as well. But when you start, it's the same thing as going commercial on the fishing. When you start doing it for a TV program, and you just hooking great whites, hauling them onto a trolley and bolting the GPS tags on them, and just to make a program out of it, then it's like going commercial on the thing, which is really not necessary and detrimental, I think, to the sharks as well. Because, like we said, the lactic acid buildup on these animals once they're caught, they go through a horrific process of
What
actually hooking the animal and subduing it to a point where it's complete. What can I say? Sorry, 1 second, Jason.
Yeah, subduing. You said the word subduing, and I'll tell you the first. glimpse that I saw of the Shark Week show, like back in 2007, just made me sick to my stomach because I was just like, okay, so this is human versus shark. This is man versus beast. This is, can we tame the the most incredible species in the ocean? Can humans overcome sharks? Because it was just about like, hey, caught you, and this is what a Jaws looks like flattened out on the deck of a boat. Like it just rubbed me the wrong way. It seemed like the drama of man versus beast using the excuse of science. Anyway, uh, I don't know when you're there or not there, Walter.
Sitting at the, no, I'm here all the time. Sorry, man.
Okay. Hey, can you read?
Settling a debate about the American bull shark population and Australian bull shark population, and which bull shark population is superior.
What does superior mean? That's my first question. What are we
What
talking
about
about?
the South African bull shark population,
How dare
not
you
the
leave out the South African?
Fiji bull shark population compared to the other protect and look after?
So I'm going to throw up a couple of things that I included in this video. I'm glad some of you watched it. I hope you'll have a chance to watch the whole thing because your feedback is breaking this down. But I did ask Walt. I provoked. We're gonna classify this.
Iguanas, oceanic whitetip. If you're going to
Say
go
it.
and swim from that, was it the Indianapolis that went down
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
in the Second World War, and all those people were attacked and eaten? I think that was the main shark that was involved. Um, so,
mm-hmm.
that guy, he obviously didn't know that shark was around. First of all, he's diving without a wetsuit on, so he's got nice white skin flashing in the sunlight. It's like a trend to most sharks, especially our sharks in our area. They seem to have, link anything going down in the water column as potentially food. So you can see him going down there, and that shark just comes in and has a sample, and he's carrying a camera, so which has got that electric magnetic signal that's been given off. He's lucky to get away with just a little nibble on the shoulder, I think.
Are we all in agreement that this is unprovoked, or is there actually even room to argue on that?
Um, it's just it's just a look. It's somebody that's in the water and uh, unprovoked flashing. Now that's definitely the attraction.
I mean, I guess it depends on how much you want to defend the shark if you're going to call something provoked. Like according to the official definition, this would be unprovoked. If you want to say that the camera mechanism or this guy's pale skin or the fact that he was being neutrally buoyant, the way that dead things are when they go in the ocean, those are all
Well, not
stimulants.
neutral, negatively buoyant.
Oh,
He
I
was
said
going
neutral.
down
Sorry.
in the water column.
Sorry, I wasn't even aware of what I said. I meant negative.
So
I have a,
those three things are the things that got the shark interested in him. Besides the fact that he's in the sharks, you know,
however, however, you and I have both dove down like that. So, I mean,
the ocean.
I don't want to say, I don't want to give the impression that diving down is asking for trouble necessarily.
Look, I mean, thousands of free divers dive every single day. They diving down, and there's no problem, you know. But if there's a longimanus around, or maybe a tiger around, and you're gonna pull the same stunt, maybe you're gonna get some attention. That's for sure,
I have dove with oceanic white tips, and I lost count of the number of times that they could have killed me.
Yeah. Look,
I mean,
I mean, I've done a bit of diving with the oceanic white, with the longimanus as well, and they're a little bit, in actual fact, their trigger area is the surface. You know, anything
hmm,
they I haven't seen the same interest in that I see in our sharks here amongst the bull sharks and the tigers and the black tips that we have here with the downward movement in the water column. So, it's hard to apply the same rules to every single shark, but um, yeah, definitely the flashing white skin
I don't know how we're going to fix your internet, but we got to do something. All right, I'm going
I
to
mean,
point out.
well, maybe
I'm going to point out a
I wonder
detail
how
here.
many people can actually see me.
Whenever I blow you up on the screen, you're frozen. Oh, here you're moving. Nope, you're not. Anyway, uh, look at the mouth of this white shark. You see how wide that is?
Yeah.
And it gets even wider. I think it's already releasing him. I think it was an investigation, and I think it's already making its decision. Look, it's moving away. I mean, that was really fast. If that shark had held on or
Look, and
decided to clamp down or to shake, things would have really been different in this situation.
no, that's for sure. It had an exploratory bite. It obviously straight away it's not its food, and didn't like the taste at all, and let him go. Because if that decided that that was its food and it clamped down, as you said, that would have been serious. A big chunk of meat missing, like you see big chunks of meat missing out of whales, etc.
I'm going to move on to. Are you anything else you want to point out with this clip before I move on to another example?
Yeah. No, just unfortunate. It's unfortunate that doing the wrong thing at the right time and in the right place, as far as or the wrong thing at the
Look
wrong
how
time.
effortlessly. Look how effortlessly that shark turns in order to come back. And I also there's something I notice here. Look at the tail beats increase. It speeds up as he dives down, and you can tell almost immediately that that shark has made the decision to investigate. So it's like it's over with almost immediately in terms of whether or not he's going to be bitten.
Yeah.
From here on, watch the shark. The shark starts reacting almost immediately if you pay attention.
Hmm. Shame.
Next clip is from the show that I just made fun of. Um, I guess made fun of is putting it simply. Um, I critiqued it, and I thoroughly critiqued it. So here's a supposedly a demonstration of creating space between yourself and the shark, which actually means closing the gap between the shark that wants to do with you, popping up and touching it. And but that's not even what we're going to talk about today. What we're going to talk about is from this point forward. Here, Walter, you made this mistake and almost paid for it, and you and I have talked about it. He accomplishes the scene, touches the shark, and then gives the thumbs up to the camera and never looks at the shark again while engaging in a vertical ascent.
Yeah.
Any problem with that?
Yeah. Look, there's only so many, and he's got those fins on with those big white stripes in them, which is another added attraction. So yeah, you never move from A to B without checking your 6 o'clock when you're working with sharks. It's you do it at your own detriment. Um, you know, it's and you don't dive with sharks with no. I know the guy's got a good build and that is just asking for trouble.
Now, I asked you, and I know it's not an easy answer, but just for the sake of entertaining the audience, if you had to choose which is a more vulnerable situation for a human to be in, is it diving down negatively buoyant, or is it being positively buoyant and heading to the surface? And let's say in both cases, you are foolish enough not to be checking behind you.
Definitely, if he was diving with the oceanic white tips and he did that, he'd get a immediate response more to the downward movement of objects in the water. So I would make that those two distinctions depending what shark you're diving with. Um, would result in a different action happening. So with the Longimanus, that would have got an immediate response from them.
Hmm.
Um, Going downwards uh, would get a more of a response from the tigers and the bulls.
What Sharks 365 voted for going to the surface? You mentioned that the species matters. And this is a question that I just threw into the video. I didn't spend that much time on it. But I said, you're recreating shark attacks, supposedly, using interactive species like the tiger shark. But the species in question was a bull shark. You just pointed
Yeah.
out how the situation would have been different with the oceanic white tip. How would you feel about this situation with a bull shark?
Um, you know, I haven't tried the same kind of thing with bull sharks. I haven't, you know, so I can't answer that. Um,
Okay. Hey,
but
be humble.
I do
I
know
like it.
that you behave like that with the oceanic white tip, and you will get a definite response, a definite big response from it.
Which,
There's
interestingly
just no doubt.
enough, I think you say that in a positive way. Like you would actually have a good time diving with oceanic white tips more often.
Well, yeah. No, I really like them, and I like the how they can be quite predictable in their response to certain stimuli. It's all stimulus response, stimulus response. You behave in one way, they behave in another. Um, and obviously, we can't talk to sharks underwater. All the stimulus that we're giving the shark is in our behavior and in their response, and then how it goes from there. So, if I want the close attention of a Longimanus, I'm going to head for the surface every time.
Hmm.
That's going to get me the shark to come straight to me, and it's just using their natural behavior to your advantage. You know.
I want to spend some time on that actually, because we have people who demonstrate behavior with the intention of getting the sharks to come closer. And then, consciously, you've turned your back on them, or you're not making eye contact with them, or you're doing something to make yourself less intimidating in one way or another, or you're acting vulnerable. And I say, Sharks 365, by the way, is quoting you. He's picked up on what you said. If you act like prey, they might treat you like prey. But what I
100%.
want to get at is this show. Part of the reason that I'm so annoyed is that the premise of the show is to show people how to survive shark attacks. That behavior you just saw was not.
How to avoid, maybe, yeah. How to avoid a shark attack. Yeah, definitely. Go swimming in your baggies with, with, with white
How does this sound to the viewers? Is it
strips.
only me who has the delay with Walter, or does this sound good to everybody else? I just need to know. So type it in the comments, everybody. I'm just glad you guys aren't having those rolling blackouts.
What I'm going to do next time is bring my modem to the same place, and hopefully that'll improve things.
This is a screenshot from the video I just did. And Shark 365 confirms that it's delaying. Remember to respect sharks, which of course I'm trying to be funny, as this person is supposedly being ripped apart. But Walter, this reminded me of the Natal Sharks Board, where you go to the Natal Sharks Board Museum, and everything about it and the presentation that they give is just like, holy shit, if you go in the ocean, you will die. And then they throw in these lines at the end, remember to respect sharks. And I got to tell you, Shark Week is like about on the same level as the Natal Sharks Board.
Yeah, I know. Well, at least they're not killing the sharks like the Natal Sharks Board are, and then coming across as this eco-friendly, uh, institution that's actually protecting sharks and our oceans. You know,
Well, I'll
everybody
argue
wants
with
something.
you. I'm pretty sure Shark Week accepts the praise that they are doing good things for sharks. And I bet you there's some bodies out there that we've never seen the footage of. I bet you Shark Week has killed some sharks with their stunts.
And
Walter, blink twice if you can hear me. We've got to fix this internet thing because it's really effing the show up. Sharks 365, I'm going to communicate directly with you for a minute. Do me a favor, because I know you are a fan of Sharks 36 Shark Bites, and I've tried to learn a little bit. Can you tell me in what capacity he's actually a scientist other than having a marine biology degree? I just, scanned through and I don't really see indicators of scientific work being done. And what I researched online is that he contributed to one paper that was an observation of nurse shark behavior. And it's not that he is or isn't a scientist. I'm just curious what it is that has inspired people to be so enamored with a YouTuber that I don't really see much actual scientific work taking place. Wild World. Walter, are you here? Damn. Now he's really frozen. Wild World says, why do the Natal Sharks Board kill sharks? Do they give a reason? Yes, human safety is the official reason. Beach bather protection. It's. I wish Walter wasn't frozen because he lives there. Walter watches the animals that he dives with killed by the Natal Sharks Board. Like he lives with this. So it's a kind of a big deal. And it's tourism. It's just like the movie Jaws, except you don't actually see coaling take place in the movie Jaws, but they do hire someone to go out and kill the shark. Well, this is just, a passive means of death, which I would argue probably puts people in greater danger considering that they bait beaches. Thank you. Hey, by the way, if you have links to any of it, and I know you also told me that he and Schiffman have done critiques of Shark Week. If you can send me the links, I would greatly appreciate it. And you can put those links in the comments to this video after we're finished going live. And we're going to work on Walter's internet connection and come back to you stronger next week. We're almost at an hour, but those are the requests I'm putting out to the viewers. If you want to contribute by showing me exactly what entices you about certain YouTube influencers who amazingly don't consider themselves influencers. Good to see you, Wild World, and Saticus for jumping in here, joining the crew. And we look forward to seeing Shark Taw's video that is coming out. Thanks, everybody.